So for my movie, I decided to pick another one that Josh hasn't seen, and it's probably the only person over the age of 20 who enjoys movies that hasn't. Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, not extended edition because I would never do that to someone to introduce them. We finished the movie 2 hours and I believe 50 minutes it was, and he said, "What else could you possibly have in there?" And I said, "An hour." And then I actually went back and checked it. I think it was an extra 50 minutes of content that it would have been if we had watched the extended edition. The main reason I wanted to pick that movie, one, because I think Fellowship is probably my favorite movie of all time, but only as it fits in the series. The first time I watched it, it was Far From It. But once you can really pair it with Two Towers and Return of the King, and then, I mean, now even with the Hobbit trilogy, you realize how well that Peter Jackson was able to set up not only the storyline, but really introduce us to the world. Something that I didn't even realize until I had watched Return of the King a few years later, because I was pretty young when these movies came out. They show Minas Tirith in Fellowship, and it's something that I never even noticed. So he really does a good job of introducing you to the world, along with introducing you to the story. So it's one of my favorite movies of all time. First time you watch Fellowship of the Ring, especially after the age of hype for Lord of the Rings, it might come across as a little dry, a little uneventful,
a little
long-winded, but all I can do is promise that as you move into the second and third movies that you realize you needed it. You couldn't have made that movie any shorter and had it kept its quality.
I agree with kind of some of the things that you would warn someone about, I guess, when they're about to watch it for the first time. And it's kind of the same concept as Star Wars, where it's a movie that I've neglected to see for how long. People have said how good it is, they should say I watch it, all that stuff. And it was kind of hyped up, once again, a little too much. It was still a really good movie. I'm sure there's information in there that needs to be in there, but it's still way too long of a movie for introducing a world, pretty much. You're introducing an entire world. And it's just a lot of stuff that I feel like could have been slimmed down a little bit at least. Could have, how long did you say it was? 250?
245, something.
245. I think you could have fit it in. It's hard to say. I'm trying to limit it to like just over 2 hours, but...
Well, can you think of anything that happened in the movie that you thought was pointless?
I was waiting for it to be over. For probably the last half hour of the movie, I was kind of waiting for it to be over. It would keep your attention. It's not like I was bored watching it. It was just, it should have been shorter. With saying that, I do feel like I need to watch the rest of the films just because I know so far it's a good story, and I guess I want to see what happens, even though I kind of already know. But I want to see like all the progression and how it gets there.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I think I do. A little upset that Dumbledore died, but
Gandalf.
For me, it's Dumbledore.
Yeah, well, you know.
I feel like something's gonna happen with that, but
I guess you'll find it.
yeah. Because I haven't seen
continued.
anything else. A lot of hype, and it lived up a little bit. Just a little bit.
More so than Star Wars?
Yeah, I'd say it lived up to the massive hype. More than Star Wars, but not enough that it should have, I guess. Not enough for what it was hyped up for.
Okay.
But that was the fault of other people, I would think. Not the
Right.
It's not the movie's fault. It's the
Right.
It's the
Society
as a whole's fault.
Alright, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. I love Lord of the Rings. Probably out of all the fantasy movies I've ever seen, the Lord of the Rings series is easily my favorite. I feel like Return of the King is superior, but like it's the top of the line in terms of fantasy movies. I love everything about it. There's you know, there are parts where it does feel a little bit long, but again, like, I can forgive it, but, you know, just sometimes if you're not really feeling it, it's not the funnest movie to watch. But at the same time, it's an amazing movie, so. I really can't think of anything wrong with it, honestly. Like, I don't really have any faults besides it just feels kind of long sometimes. Mainly in the one scene that feels really long is the stuff in Lothlorien, the elf. Like, I usually get to that point in the movie, and I'm like, oh my god, I forget how long this movie is. Like, shit. But whatever, the really cool part's coming up, so whatever. But right about there, it feels really long. Other than that, I have no faults. None whatsoever. Great movie. Solid choice.
Lord of the Rings. I think this is the third time I've seen it. The first time being I was super young and I don't remember any of it. The second time I watched it, I watched all Lord of the Rings back to back to back. I think that might have affected me in it, just because it was so much information to take in all at once. Like, so I can't like remember it. Like, nothing bad came out of it. It's just hit me like a train. Just, like, all of this stuff going on, right? And so I think it's a movie series that I definitely need to watch more. Like, just because like I still can't tell you half the characters' names.
No.
And I just need to watch it more to appreciate it to its fullest extent, I think. But it's definitely a really good movie, and I would watch it again.
You guys, between you two, we'll stay out of this. Try and name as many of the Fellowship, the 9 Fellowship characters.
Gandalf. And this guy, I know this guy's not in the Fellowship, but Bilbo Baggins is a little bitch. Fuck you, Bilbo Baggins.
Yeah. Gimli.
Gimli.
So Gimli.
Frodo.
Frodo.
Orlando Bloom.
Sam, there you go.
Right.
Yeah. The 2 dipshits.
Sam is my favorite. The 2 dipshits. I kind of expected the way you react to it, of being especially a little bit long, maybe not understanding why it all fits together the way it does, but if you watch Two Towers: Return of the King, you'll understand it a lot better.